Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boleyn Lounge Tuesday Talkshow. Thanks for joining us. As you can see, I've got Jay with me. Thanks for joining me, Jay. How are you, mate?
I'm really good, mate. Thanks for the invitation, Jeff, as always. Thanks very much.
No, you're welcome, mate. And well, tonight we're going to talk about the Villa game, and I'm sure everyone in the chat's got some views about that. So get your views in, and I will come to them as always. But for myself, I found myself feeling a little bit deflated after the game. I think mostly because I went into it with so much optimism. I really thought we were going to get a result, not necessarily win, but I thought we were going to put in a performance, and I thought we were going to get something out of the game. And I don't doubt that Tadibo getting injured in the warm-up obviously disrupted Nuno's plans. Been working on a back three all week. That was pretty clear. I didn't want to see that, to be honest. Anyway, I wanted us to return to the back four, but Nuno he sort of changed it to a back four. I'm going to talk about that later on, what I thought about that formation. But onto the game, and I'll be pretty quick with it. I thought Villa started pretty confidently. Scored on 15 minutes with it was a well worked free kick. I don't think we can say otherwise, but we've got to defend that better. I don't think we can leave three men unmarked on the edge of our box and give them the room. And perhaps when the shot comes in, maybe the keeper should do better. I don't know. I'll be interested in everyone's thoughts on that as we get to it. We sort of reacted all right to go in a goal behind, rallied very briefly for a minute or two, and then Villa soon took control of the game again and awarded a pen on 27 minutes. So I won't even say VAR have helped us out in a couple of games recently, but we've had to rely on VAR to get decisions, which is unfortunate, really, because I thought it was a good tackle by Mav all day long. I thought the penalty that was eventually given on Traore against Brentford was pretty clear penalty, and we had to rely on the referees to be corrected by VAR. That's a bit of an issue, but more of a general standards of refereeing issue than that particular game. But the right result was come to at the end. They get through to half time 1-0, and we probably consider ourselves lucky, but for some really good defending by Mavropanos, we're more than a goal down at half time. Nuno changes it from his weird formation, which I want to sort of talk about a little bit in a minute. Brings on Wilson for Tatty and Traore for Potts. Changes the formation a bit more to resemble the 4-4-2 that we've had a bit of success with recently. I thought we looked a little bit better in parts during the second half, but to be fair, Villa remained pretty comfortable and in control of the game for the most part. Not least when Morgan Rogers ran through the ball, through with the ball in absolute acres. He had the freedom of Villa Park, puts in a shot that Hermansen spills, and he really should definitely do better with that one. And Ollie Watkins stabs it home, and that's 2-0, and it's game over. And in truth, we never really troubled them, and they won comfortably on the day. I thought Villa played quite well, especially for a team that had been in some pretty poor form recently. But I thought they performed pretty well, but we performed really quite badly. And the back four thing I was talking about at the top of the show, I'll be honest here, I'm absolutely shocked how disruptive the loss of Tadibo was and how uncomfortable we were going to a back four that's served us so well recently. It's not like we've been playing a back five for weeks and weeks and weeks and forgot how to play in a back four. We played a back three or a back five last week. Yeah, we were preparing for it all week, but I just think it should come to them naturally. They've been playing in that formation, and seems not. It was a bit concerning. And Wan-Bissaka seemed all over the place, and this is where I say it's a sort of back four because he seemed like he was playing as a almost like a third centre back at times, or really poorly positioned right back. I'm not quite sure, but either way, he was often pulled out of position and actually one of the most lethargic displays I think I've seen from him in a West Ham shirt. He was either confused by what was asked of him, or he couldn't be bothered. I'm not really sure which because he was jogging about far too much. But what that resulted in is Bowen playing as a wing back stroke right back for large parts of the first half, and yet we were so disorganised with Wan-Bissaka as a sort of right back and Bowen there as well, and yet Bowen still ended up with two players and them overloading him all the time. Just doesn't seem right. And yeah, after we defended so many corners well last week, we struggled a bit this week. Hermanson, I thought, looked far from convincing on the crosses. And but for Mav, as I said earlier, we've probably conceded from at least two of those corners. Even Disassi, I thought he looked a bit out of sorts. He was well short of what he's shown us when he's played so far. Pablo on the left, just he's a fish out of water. He had a poor game, but I don't think he should be playing there. And if Nuno really had to do what he had to do in that situation, but I don't know why he wouldn't push Tatty out there rather than Pablo. But that's just my thinking. And in fact, Tatty, I thought he was put in a similar position, asking him to play like a bit of a lone role up there. I thought they both looked awful, and I think they were both made to look awful by the way we set up. Both ineffective, and usually they cause problems for us. So for me, I think it's on Nuno. I think he set them up wrong. I think he asked the players to do too many jobs in unfamiliar roles, and I think it resulted in their poor displays. But this is where I'll be interested to see. I'm going to bring Jay in a minute. I'll get his thoughts on it, and I'd like to know what everyone in the chat thinks about that. There were some poor performances out there, despite talking about Nuno's choices. I think that's fair to say, and I do think Villa played well on a day, and we played poorly, and they got their win. They deserved it. I think we made it easier for them. And like I said, I think they were always pretty comfortable in the game. Like I said, I was quite optimistic going into the game. I thought we'd get something from it. And it's not really so much that we lost the game. We could easily go to Villa pushing for fourth place in the league and lose up there. But I think the way we lost was it was worrying. We looked so disjointed and out of sorts in comparison to the team that we've seen, the team spirit we've displayed for the last few weeks. And it's one of them games that, I don't know, you might brush it off mid-season, mid-table. We could brush that off, say, oh, we had a bad day at the office, we just move on. But the trouble is, we're really starting to run out of games. We ain't got room for too many of these bad days at the office. But on the reflection, though, as disappointed as I was, I thought we'd end up with 1 point out of the last two games. It's just the results have been reversed by the opposition, really. I thought we could have easily lost 2-0 last week to City, and then we put in a really, really strong display to get a well-earned 1-1 draw. And then this week, when I thought we might get the 1-1 draw, we completely capitulated. So I'm going to try and remain objective about it and say we're sort of around where I thought it would be. But what it's done is it's made Wolves' game an absolute must-win for me. I don't think we've got any room for error now. Can't afford to to slip up in that game at all. And now I'm going to invite Jay in to give me his thoughts on what I've just said, and obviously come to you guys in the chat. And I've got Tony backstage, so I'm going to bring him into the show as well, and I'll get Tony to give us his thoughts when Jay's give us his rundown. What's your thoughts, Jay?
First of all, hello, Toe. You all right, mate?
Oh, well, I was, mate. I was sitting there so long, I'm going to have to make my own cuppa because Jeff didn't make me one while I'm waiting. How are you, Jay?
He actually said to me before we went on, he said, look, Jay, I've got my notes, and if Budgie turns up, I'll let him on. But if Tony's sitting there, he said, I'm just going to ignore him. I said, all right, great. No problem. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Do you know what? I don't know, like, I was really nice to sit. I haven't had, because I've got family over at the minute and there's lots of things going on, birthdays and whatnot. So I haven't had as much chance to sort of really have a good chat with anyone about the Brentford game. I've gone online. I've done a couple of really shorts, which have been a bit sporadic because I've been in conflict with myself. Like initially on the day, first and foremost, to sort of summarise it, I'll go into some of the details you did. I think you've touched on pretty much everything. But first and foremost, we didn't turn up at the races and our effort was shocking, absolutely shocking. I made a video earlier today because I've been saying to myself, there's no reason that at this stage of the season, West Ham should be unfitter than any other team. Our energy levels should be able to match, at least energy-wise, anyone at the moment, especially considering we're supposed to be playing for our lives. You would have thought that would give that little extra push. And energy-wise, I think we were flat, absolutely flat.
We looked like the team that had played in Europe in the week, didn't we?
Right. It was shocking. And there's no excuses for that. Now, a bigger issue for me is, and this is something you touched on, and I was talking, I love, do you remember the last time we played Emery? Emery kept changing until he got it right and they stuffed us. Do you remember? And what did we do with Nuno? We just done the same thing. We stick. There's no twist with us. We tend to just stick and hold out and hope that the house don't fucking get 21 in. But Nuno, to have one player, Toddy, come out of the team, like you said, to go back to something where arguably I think 9 out of 10 West Ham fans, if you say, put your hands up if you want a 4-3-3, I'm 4 at the back in general, I think 9 out of 10 West Ham fans say, yeah, we played our best football that way this season. For me, something went wrong when Toddy came out, and obviously they would have worked on the back three. He would have been building in his head off the back of Man City and that against Villa we need to do the same thing, which I totally disagree with as well. As you said, I wanted us going into this with a 4 at the back being more attacking than we were against City, because let's face it, Villa ain't City. Like we could have got at Villa a lot more if we'd have set up for them. But my biggest issue is, since Nuno's been here, I can't remember one game, and this is the same for Lopetegui and Potter, where there's been some sort of managerial decision where I've gone, Nuno, yeah, he's changed the game there. Like that substitution, what you've done there. Yes, he's made some good subs or subs where we've gone, oh, I've agreed with that. But I don't remember one game where he's changed it. He's realised this ain't working. Come off early doors. Because for me, and this is not a slight against the man. All right, I'm just talking about attributes now. We've been in this purple patch of form where we've been winning some games. And part of me dismissing the Villa game was me thinking, you know what? We've had such a good, decent run. To have one bad game at the office, I'm not going to go in too tough. But I am going to be analytical as to what did I see? What was it, without me trying to keep my West Ham goggles on? What did I see where I can say, well, actually, blatantly obvious. Why didn't that change? And I'm sorry, but Thomas Souček, when you're playing against an energetic team like that, and they're playing, after 15, 20 minutes, you can see we're getting overrun. This is something we've watched for a good couple of seasons. Now, for me, the fact that Potts came in, great. I think Potts, where he sort of sat behind everyone, didn't he? Just in front of the defence, he was picking the ball up. It made sense. But to keep Souček on and to take Potts off when clearly we was getting so overrun in the middle of the park. You said about putting it in Nuno's, it's things like that. That's Nuno, because he can see it as well. I really don't get this need to be stubborn to hold on to something with a player like Souček as if it's going to change the game. When Souček is in that sort of, when he's put in that sort of position against a team like Villa that was just completely running through him, we end up a man light in the middle of the park. So where the engine, where their main engine is doing all their good work, we ain't even got an engine in there that can defend against them. It should have been Kante or Dave Magassa after 15 or 20 minutes. Well, for me anyway, I'm obviously going interested to other people saying this. For me, the biggest problem was that lack of mobility. We was flat. Don't get me wrong. We was flat all round. But the problem is the battle. We could have stemmed a little bit of the flow that was coming through the middle of us, and maybe give us a bit of momentum if we just, for me, solidified up the middle of the park. It was just too much. Fernandes became ineffective because, in essence, he's running around sort of covering for Souček because Souček just is not in the game at all. So then you've got Potts and basically Fernandes with a gap between them, which Souček was feeling, which he just was not effective in this game. So again, we are a man light in the engine room against a team that was picking up. I felt Villa picked up momentum in the game. They realised they're not at it. West Ham ain't at it at all today. And they actually got better as the game went on. I still don't think that was a great Villa performance. We were just that bad. On a positive, because there's so many other things. You spoke quickly about Pablo and Tate. So obviously, Tony and Judah, Mike. Pablo and Tate, we're shoehorning again. Why are we putting Pablo out on the left? It don't work. We've seen for however many good players, Paqueta, Kudus, when you start shoehorning players out of position, yeah, everything goes to pot. Those players are now ineffective. Their heads probably go down a bit because they're not impacting the game. They're not in their natural environment. The one positive, as you said, was Mavro. If it weren't for Mavro the other day, that's a 4-0 game all day long. He cleared one off the line with his head. The one, I say again?
2, I think, off the line.
With 2 off the line, right? With Colossus. That was one of the best challenges that he blew up for the penalties. That's one of the best time challenges I've seen in years. That challenge he did. Who was it against? Was it Watkins? Was it Watkins?
Geez, I can't remember.
With a penalty.
It was a great tackle anyway.
Watkins.
Yeah. That challenge, Mavro is on fire at the minute. Absolutely on fire. So for me, that's the only positive. Hermansen, he's shaky in goal, like you said. Wan-Bissaka, like you said, to be honest, Jeff, everything you saw, the only thing for me that was highlighted, and like I said, it's not me going at him personally, is I don't understand why Potts is coming off and who's a youngster full of energy, and you're keeping on, bless him, when he's in lamppost form like that, someone who's just slowing everything down with a player like in the middle. That for me was, again, Nuno, sort it out, unforgivable. That's my take.
Tony, what's your thoughts, mate?
I mean, I'll start off with what Jay was saying, alluding to, like, you know, when you look at Villa, it wasn't the greatest game for them. They did well because we sat back too much. And not being funny, if you saw Unai Emery's face at the end, body language and that smile on his face just said, you know, he knew this fell in his lap. It was an easy game for him in that respect. We weren't, you know, and I think we've all agreed, there's no way we turned up. Apart from, as you said, Mavropanos doing what he did, you know, clearing the line as well with a header. The only one for me that actually had a bit of heart when he came on and as a sub, and that was Traore. You know, at least he tried to have a go in there, because there's a bit where there's, I think, the throw-in. I think I alluded to that on Sunday. You know, when he threw that ball full pelt into the ground to make it bounce up in the air, and it's as if to say, like, you know, why is it just me for a change that's actually doing something?
I suppose it's better than throwing fullbacks around.
Well, I don't mind that, you know, because it's a bit of passion, Jeff. You know, I'll have that all day long. I'm not going worries about that.
I mean,
it was only him that kind of, you know, he was the only one that kind of tried to drive with the ball.
Traore, for me, Tone, I've heard a few people say about Traore. I don't I'm not a big fan of his. I have to say, I don't want
He's
him
not the
in
same
Villa
player,
start.
Jeff. I'm not saying he's the best thing since, but
And
it's
he's got
just
no
that
end
moment.
product. What we was moaned about Somerville before he came on fire. Oh yeah, he's not nearly as good as Somerville,
Of course, he's
and
not
he's
going to be.
got
No,
no end product. He's got
look,
zero.
we're
The
not seeing
opposition
Roy. We've seen
cross
another
shot, whatever it
think
is,
that.
it's in the fucking stands.
But
So he
like I
can
said,
run fast.
I'm
That's
just saying
it.
about this game in particular, he actually turned up compared to some of the other players, and
I mean, he did at Brentford a little bit as well. In fairness, to him.
But it's seeing other
Just
people
not
not
a fan.
doing it as well, kind of thing. I mean, going with the midfield area, like Jay just mentioned, Anana ruled the roost there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He had so much time with the ball, to look around, even come forward with the ball. It's one of I think someone said in the chat there. Maybe hopefully this is a blip. I don't know. Did we show Aston Villa too much respect? We sat back too much, waiting for that moment.
I don't know what happened, Tony, because like I say, I don't think the loss of Todibo should have disrupted our whole game plan quite as much as it did. And we looked lost. They looked like a team of strangers. Do you know what they look like? I said it last night on Sunday on your show. We looked in that game like Tottenham did against Fulham, where they just had no shape and they were all over the place. And that's a bit worrying for me because I don't think there's any reason for that.
I think it was just a team, it was a team performance, which is the one thing you could say was actually consistent. I'm not saying that if Todibo started, we would have been any better. That's the thing you got to look at. It was just across the board. It was poor all over, and it just allowed Villa to look. Some people say, they really played well. We allowed them at the end of the day.
I think they did play well, and I think we gave them far too much room and time and space to do that as well, and they just took full advantage.
I mean, look,
they look good though. Sorry, Tone. I want to piggyback on one thing you just said. They look good though, Jeff, because of how we played. We went back. That's going back to the games where we're all going. What are we doing? Who's playing? What? Why is he over there? I ain't said that in a long time. Why is he playing there? Like that used to drive me bonkers every game. But just something you said, Tone. See, this is what I love about Emery. I forgot to say this when I was doing my bit. With Emery, as we saw when we was doing them last time, and he keeps changing until he gets it right. Now, Anana, sorry, it's Anana, isn't it? There's centre mid, yeah? Literally, after 15, 20 minutes, for me, that's where you go to Kante and go, right, Thomas, come off. Kante, stick on it. Because the thing is, he's in that position in between Potsu's sitting back deeper, yeah. You've got Fernandez, Matty's meant to be playing a bit more advanced, and Tommy's sort of floating in the middle. But the problem is, Anana's got all that space now because Tommy can't get near him. So then you've got Matty and sort of Potsy thinking, well, which one goes with him? Whereas when someone's in a vein of form like that, in a game like that, in the middle of the park, you stick someone on them and you just say to them, right, just stay with it. Just because at the minute, like you said, he was ruling the room. He had no one was getting near him. No one was getting near him. Whereas you can change that. Like as a manager, I think the best coaches are the ones that go, do you know what? Beginning of the game, I got it wrong. And that's why I made that substitution. I just feel Nuno really falls short in that regard. Really falls short.
Yeah, he did indeed. I mean, you could have made, I think we said it on Sunday, Cole Walker-Peters could have come on. That way you've got stability then, you haven't got no worries about it. But going into the game itself, the one thing that, rolled me more than anything else was how did McGinn have all that space to get that shot off to score?
There was 3 of them on the edge of the box. That's the worst of it.
Yeah, of course it was. But it's a fact of, we're too busy watching the ball, and that's a basic schoolboy error, that is, ball watching rather than being aware of what's your surroundings. That's one thing you're taught as a kid. And then looking at, to him to have that, of all players, to have all that freedom to get that shot off, that's where it annoys him more than anything else.
I'm going to come to the chat now. Thanks to everyone for joining us in the chat, and I'm coming to a few of your comments now. This is interesting comment, I think, from Make West Ham Great Again, and I'm going to sort of put it back to him a bit in a way. So he says, very poor preparation for the game. He had a plan, stick to it. You can't change your formation for one player. So I guess what he's suggesting is that we should have played five at the back. So my question would be then, who would you bring in to have that three at the back? Sorry, so call it 3-5. It's always a five when we play three anyway. So the only senior centre back he's got is Kilman, and I don't think any of us want to see Kilman. He has options of players that he might be able to play there, but do you want to shoehorn one of those in 15, 20 minutes before a game? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want to see Wan-Bissaka as a third centre back, or Walker Peters, or got the young lad Myers. Are you going to stick him in there? I don't know. I feel like we should be comfortable in a four, and it should be an easy transition for us. So I'd like to know your guys' thoughts on that.
Right, well, actually, make West Ham great again. By the way, I love that name. That is a freaking great name. Right. I've just seen it in chat where what you spoke about shoehorn, Jeff, because do you know what? I actually agree with that comment. I do, because the thing is, all them players trained all week to play in that formation. One that they're just, not that I want that formation, but one that they're just putting a good performance against City, where it worked to an extent. So they're trained all week in that formation. Yeah. By shifting it at the last minute, he's ended up shoehorning Pablo, which has been responsible for our biggest form of new line defence, which is up top, out on the left-hand side. That was for me, we're losing. And that's another reason Souček gets exposed. We've only looked good. Souček's only looked good, in my opinion, and other people have said it, is because Pablo's been doing such a wonderful job that Souček hasn't had to do so much and he'd have more space. Like mate West Ham Great Game put in the chat, for me, stick Magassa in there. He's played there. Stick Magassa in there. It's not like some big stretch of a shoehorn. He's played centre-back. He started off playing centre-back in his youth. So you could have put him in there, and just said to the lads, do you know what, lads? Let's everything we've done in training, whatever, because I'm sure just like any other football team, they've been training all week in that formation for this game. Don't worry, lads. Toddy's out. So Dave's going in. Magassa's going in at the back. Everyone else crack on doing what you what we've been training. So I agree with that comment, Percy, and I do think he had options. Not AWB, not KWP. Put fucking Magassa in there. When he plays three at the back anyway, at some point, one of them drives out anyway. So that could have been Magassa doing that job and then sitting back in. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think you should change just for one player, personally.
Fair enough. What's your thoughts on that, Tone?
I mean, it's a great show of Magassa on, what you just said there, Jay, as well. Didn't think of that one. But I already said it, Carl Walker-Peters, because even if, you have Mavro in the middle there, Tasasi out on the left, Carl Walker-Peters on the right. Because that way, then, if he does drive forward, you've got Wan-Bissaka to drop back. So that way, you're still defensive anyway, in that respects. More importantly, I think the difference, with Souček, he did bits and pieces, but again, you could have maybe made a change there just to strengthen it in the middle of the park because, Fernandes, which has normally been pretty decent, was very subdued in the game on Sunday, from my opinion. I thought he was
the whole midfield were, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We were quite dominated in the middle of the park.
100%.
But we allowed that. That's the problem. When you allow and going by what, put if anything, put Tete on the left, put Pablo up top because at least Pablo
I
then hold the ball up.
Say that's a better fit for me personally. In my mind's eye, Tete out on the left and Pablo through the middle would have been a better fit than the other way round. And I do agree with Jay when he says that. I think it's not just Souček actually. Our midfield have benefited from the work rate of having Tati and Pablo in front of them and defending from the front, and I think we lost a little bit of that. It's interesting because I seen Bowen come in for a bit of stick over this game, and I was kind of expecting it. And Make West Ham Great goes on to say, Bowen has to take some responsibility. He needs to pass the player into the defence and not constantly doing the fullback's job. And I kind of thought Bowen was going to get a bit of stick over this game. But I don't think he could have been happy with that role he was asked to play. I mean, he was literally a fullback for a large part of that first half, and I think that was tactical from Nuno, and that's why I think, as I say, Wan-Bissaka often came narrow, almost as a third centre back at times, and I think he went a bit twixt in between, and he didn't completely abandon the three at the back, but didn't actually commit to it, and I think it made an absolute mess of the whole team. And yeah, Pablo out on the left, just he's not going to be able to do that job. I don't think effectively, personally. But I'll defend Bowen a little bit because I think Nuno put him in that spot. If I'm honest.
The problem I saw with that as well, when he did go forward, and he wasn't the only one, we tried to walk the ball into the back of the net. That's the problem. We was trying to walk it into the net rather than look for the pass and give and go, where we didn't create anything from that. So now in Villa's final third, we created absolutely naff all.
Well, we've created nothing in the last two games. You can almost excuse it a little bit with backs to the wall display against City, get the point. Okay, you'll accept that. But like I said at the top of the show, I was just expecting more from West Ham this week. I thought we'd give them a better game. We gave them no game at all.
Is that the problem, though, Jeff? Was we expecting a bit too much?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's lots of talks about Tottenham, isn't there, this week, and they can't handle the pressure, and they were expected to get nothing at Liverpool, so they got a plucky draw up there, and they were already out of the tie in Europe and put in a decent display to ultimately lose the fixture if they won over 90 minutes, and then it was so important this week for them, and they folded. And do you think that's happened to West Ham a little bit, that the pressure's got to them? But then you think, well, they went to Fulham the other week under intense pressure and come out of there with a result and put in a much better display. So I'd like to think Nuno fucked up tactically. I don't think the players really bought into it, and I think it resulted in a few poor performances around the park. And hopefully we can write it off and go, don't let that happen again, come out firing. But I'm worried for the Wolves game. If we play like that, we'll lose. Pierre, just on that, Pierre saying, I can't see Forest and Spurs playing that badly when they play Villa. They will try and win at the very least. The good thing is, I guess, Villa have put their Champions League run right back on the map by beating us, and they've got to play Forest and Spurs, and they'll be looking at those as games that they can win and consolidate their top four place. So they should be motivated for those games. See, I'll try and catch up with it.
I mean, what was quite interesting, I mean, when we're talking about Nuno, on the show on Sunday, Jay, we had Yeti on there, and of course, being there as he's Forest's manager, he couldn't understand that he's not seeing the same Nuno what he had at Forest. There it was more free reign. For some reason, with West Ham, Nuno is ultra cautious, and I don't know. I just can't wrap my head around that. Why kind of change what you were in the first place? At Forest, which you basically turned that team into what it was, and you've not kind of brought the same kind of style to West Ham. I don't know if your thought with it.
It's a good point, because obviously when Forest were doing well under Nuno, and it was counter-attack. It was good counter-attacking football. Yes, they were obviously a team that didn't have a lot of possession, but that is what a good counter-attacking football team does. They don't rely on that. They rely on the spring, and they're ready to go. They train all week. So look, if we win the ball back here, bosh, that's so everything is in place for that spring, and that is what he's known for. Because when he came in to us, everyone was saying, "Oh, we ain't got the team for his style of football," but which would you sort of give him that bit of leeway for some of the really, I don't think anyone would argue that there was a period towards the beginning of his reign where I was back thinking, oh my God, have we got another part? We got another, like, what's he doing? Like, it was a very, where's the identity? Where's the Nuno stamp on thing? Again, there was no manager bounce. We didn't get a new manager bounce again, did we? Everything that, so I'm giving him a bit of leeway to, he's walking to, I think as West Ham fans, sometimes we forget how much of a shit show we are. We've been a shit show, like chaos for so long. So you're coming into this club. I always think to myself, what must a professional Premier League coach manager think when they're sitting in front of David Sullivan pitching for the job? They must be thinking, what is this geezer? Like he's so. Anyway, my point is that initial foundational appointment for Nuno, I give him a little bit of leeway. QPR for me was a change around. QPR was when things changed for me. It was the FA Cup, wasn't it? And we were doing more penalties in the end. Was it penalties?
Extra time.
Extra time. Sorry, extra time. Yeah. But my point is, even then, I still can't say at any point this season I've seen Nuno football. I haven't seen not Nuno Forest football. There's I don't know about you two, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but I ain't seen one of them. Yes, at times with counter-attack, but I'm not being funny. That's a part of football. Every team counter-attacks at times, but at Forest, there was a, like you said, it worked. I mean, they was fucking third, fourth till latter stages of the season. They bottled it right at the end. So what Nuno was doing was working. For me, the issue is, even with our purple patch of an upturn in football, it's not that we've seen the Nuno football that was going on at Forest. To be completely honest, we've seen a high press. That's been the biggest change to our game, was when Pablo and Tati came in and we stopped being a team that was defending all the way back 10 yards from our 18-yard box to a team that started defending from the front of the pitch. Now, again, there's some logic to football. If you win the ball back higher up the pitch, it's a lot fucking quicker to get to their goal and have a shot and have a go. So we looked better going forward because we were more defensive from the forward line. That, I don't even know if that's down to Nuno. Back to where this sort of diatribe for me has started is a lot of people saying it's Paco. I don't know if it is or isn't, but people saying since Paco came in, it changed, because it did. That changed. So I'm still lost with Nuno, if I'm on this tone, but I don't know how much of it is Nuno's fault and how much of it is just a shit show of West Ham managers. I think we're partly cursed, to be completely honest.
We have the last couple of seasons, mate. Yeah, I agree on that.
I think the thing is, with the turnaround, there's a lot of things that happened at that time. We spoke about it before. Yeah, Paco, and he's been given an awful lot of credit. The arrival of Tati and Pablo, and the departure of Fulkrug and Paqueta, and all of that happened in a very short space of time and revolved around the same time that we had an upturn in form. So I think you could put it down to one thing or the other, but personally, I think it's probably a bit of a combination of all of those things. Question from Pierre. He says, will Nuno ever bring back Areola or drop Souček? Well, obviously you've spoken about the Souček and your frustrations with him being selected every week. On the Areola thing, he's likely to play in the next game, isn't he? Because we line up against Leeds in the FA Cup. So it seems like he's our cup keeper. And he played very well against Brentford, didn't he? I thought, Areola, when he came in for the last cup game. Lots of debate over the goalkeepers. I often say when I'm doing my previews and stuff, I don't think there's an awful lot between them, if I'm honest. I think they've got slightly different strengths and weaknesses, but overall, I don't think there's a lot between them. I would be happy if Areola was brought back. And I think I'm just as happy with Hermansen in, unless he continues to have stinkers. I'm not that hung up on the goalkeeper situation. I know others feel a little more strongly about it. So what are your guys' views on that?
You know what I was just thinking, actually? I was thinking, right, if you can cut him in half, if you can put a Manson's bottom half, how he plays football from the back, and then you stick Areola on top, then we've got an half-decent keeper. Because they're both
His
completely
brain
weak.
into Areola as well, because his brain's a bit quicker than Areola's, I think, as well.
Yeah, there is a bit more about him, but he looked good for a couple of games. He looked better for a couple of games, Manson. But then there's the last couple, there's some shakiness coming that you're thinking, it's unfortunate for me if, for example, he starts next week and he drops an absolute clanger. If I look back at, I saw that coming. You can see it sort of creeping back in again. And that's worrying. I think I'd probably go back to Areola personally at this stage. I don't want that. Yeah, I don't want that sort of, fucking here we go. To be honest, I used to be like that with Mavro. Mavro seems to eradicate that from me. I mean, some of the things they used to do, even, what have you done? But he seems to have got that out of his game now. And I hope Manson does get that out of his game. But in a relegation scrap, you don't really want to be taking that chance.
Not much room for manoeuvre, is there? What are your thoughts, Tone? You hung up on one keeper or the other? Do you have a real strong preference?
I mean, let me just go back to, for instance, the Liverpool game. That, for me, should have been Areola in goal, not Hermansen.
For the opposition?
Yeah, I think it was too big a game for him at that point. And I think, Areola would have been more suited to it. The problem is, as you said, you've got the best of two evils here, haven't you? We know Areola can be fairly decent, but there's always a mistake in him. And obviously Sunday, Manson did exactly the same. And I think someone in the chat was saying, I hope he doesn't have T-Rex arms. And I think the second goal was very much that. It's
he tried to gather it and spilled it, didn't he?
Yeah, and you got to think, these are pro players. They're not exactly not been shown these kind of things as goalkeepers.
The thing is, Areola just wouldn't have tried to catch it, I don't think. He would have just pushed it round the post.
He'd have pushed it away. He would have pushed it totally away. Yeah.
And that makes a difference. But then you've got to look, typical of all things, Ollie Watkins hasn't scored one goal in 9 games. Up rocks West Ham. Yep, here we come. The red carpet, lay it out on the fucking cup. There's a goal for you, sunshine.
Do it all the time.
And it's Juve of all players that was caught napping.
Mm.
Bowen lost the ball up the pitch, didn't he? And
of course,
Rodgers had the freedom to run near enough the length of the pitch before he unleashes his. I mean, there's a catalogue of errors, much like the first goal. I think. Yeah, I'm going to say the keeper have done better with that shot, maybe. Yeah. Should we have defended that better? Should we have someone closing down? Castellanos coming out trying to close down the 3 players at the edge of the box doesn't know what
we packed the 6-yard box, Jeff, and that, and like you said, there's 3 players free, and of all one of them, it was short arse begin.
No one took any responsibility to say, go out and mark the players at the edge of the box.
It's them. So the 2 goals, in certain respects, could have easily been nullified if we were switched on, but we know in that game we weren't.
Do you know what? No, the first one, for me, I think, because we have been so bad at defending crosses this season, and then we had the game last week where we were immense at defending crosses, it seemed like as soon as they got that ball or a corner, they just go to everyone, get in the box, like just fully expecting they're going to put it in the box. Because that's how we lined up with literally complete ignorance to the players that was literally 5 to 6 yards away. But something was so strong in the mind, how many players was in our box? Not one of them pick him up, but not one of them. Because they were so fucking right. Defend the cross that when the cross didn't happen. You're defending something that didn't happen. So by the time that first pass got played across, I knew he was going to stick that in. As soon as that came across, here we go. Straight in. And the thing is, we were so deep as well. That blinded Hermansen's view. He didn't have I'm not giving him any excuses.
He saw it late, I think.
Everything about that goal was almost like they knew what we were going to do and they just utilised it. It's like they're going to... Go on, mate, sorry.
No, I think the first goal actually kind of is reflective of our performance, really. Like we were just a bit off of it. We made it a little bit. I think it was a clever little free kick by them, but we made it a bit too easy, didn't we? And the whole game was a bit too easy for them.
Just a bit. It was fucking easy for them, to be honest. We were terrible. Yeah. Absolutely terrible. Which, for me, is...
Go on. Saying Nuno's game management is pathetic and boring and cowardly. Yeah, I mean,
bang
what
on.
do you mean, Leslie?
Bang on.
Colin's got interesting views here. He's got us down quite a few points here, I think. He says, I see Wolves 3 points, Everton 3 points, Palace a point, Brentford a point, Newcastle, I think, either a loss or a point, and Arsenal, I believe we can win, another 3 points, and Leeds 3 points. Jesus Christ, Colin, you got 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14, maybe 15 points out of that. Yeah, I don't see that. I'd love to be as confident as you, Colin. I don't see us picking up all those results. I'd like to see us beat Wolves. I worry that we won't. Everton are really good away from home. That'll be a tough game. Palace, I think we could go there and win, you know. Might pick up a point at Brentford. Newcastle, hard to call. Which Newcastle do you play? Which West Ham do you play? And yeah, we could get something or nothing out of that. Arsenal, you'd love us to get a result, but I'm not sure. Leeds, we might have to win that to stay up. Sonny says good evening. Hello. Hi, Sonny.
Hello, Sonny.
I'll try and catch up with the chat a little bit. I'm sure there's something interesting in here other than hello to everyone. Yeah, Ryan's in. Thanks for joining us, mate. He says...
Shout out to Ryan and to Nan as well.
Yeah.
Nan and Jan.
He says it was a massive missed opportunity and the motivation was there. All Nuno had to say was win and we're out of the bottom 3. What more motivation do you want? But we got the complete opposite. Yeah. It was dire. And that's the thing. Every time West Ham get a chance, we seem to blow it. I mean, it's not even just this year, is it? It's like a West Ham thing, isn't it? The door's open. We trip over the fucking doorstep and smash our nose on the fucking floor, don't we? Yeah, it was a poor display, though. And Ryan saying, I hope it was just a bad day at the office, though, and hopefully we bounce back against Leeds. We saw that how that QPR FA Cup game kick-started us, so hopefully we can use the Leeds game in a similar way. And here's the thing with the QPR game. I don't think we actually played especially well against QPR, but what we did, we got a win, which we hadn't felt that winning feeling for a long time. And then we went to Spurs and we stumbled over the line there, but we got another win away from home. And that was the start of it then. And getting on to Leeds, I think it's important we win that game. We've lost today, lost this weekend. We've lost poor display from us. Wipe our mouths, come back. We need to beat Leeds and get back into winning ways. Couple of reasons. It takes us to a semi-final of an FA Cup. Who doesn't want that? And it gets us back to winning ways. But what are your views on the Leeds games, lads? Do you see it as an important game and that you want to win and progress in the Cup? Or are you more of the mindset of, okay, it'll be what it'll be, and the league is more important?
Win the Cup, fuck staying up. I've been saying that for a long time. It's all about the Cup for me. I couldn't give a fuck about staying in the Premier League. I've said this and I'll stand on it. I don't care. I think we need, if we go down, ain't the end of the world as far as I'm concerned. I ain't going to stop supporting West Ham. I ain't going to love them any less at all. So just to be short on that answer, it's all about the FA Cup. I just want to go back to something you said, right? The QPR game, what was the change for me in which then went on to banging 5 or 6 was Somerville. That is what changed against QPR. Yeah. We saw a player all of a sudden explode out of the blocks, take the game by the scruff of the neck, and then he carried on that vein of form up until we unfortunately got injured recently. And it just shows you how much a player can affect a team, because Somerville really, like you said at the beginning, Jeff, when we talked about Traore, for a long time he was so frustrating, because you think, how did you bang in 21 goals for Leeds in the Championship? Like, he looked like he couldn't hit a barn door. He had no confidence. He had no attempt to even put the ball in with his left foot every time he got down. Then all of a sudden, bosh, something shifted, something changed. And I think that we've missed massively. Pablo out on the left. Why? Because, Somerville's not available. So he's been a massive, massive miss since he's been injured. Back to the Leeds game. The only reason I ain't going completely tits up mad about this last game, because if we weren't in the FA Cup at this point, I'd be saying it was fucking disgraceful, that last game. The lack of effort. I don't care who got injured and what formation you played. There's still 10 of you outfield players on the pitch. Fucking run and get the ball back, you cunts. Sorry, that for me, if it weren't for the FA Cup, I'm still so... This season could still be the best of my life as far as I'm concerned. So I don't really care too much at this stage. Leeds is everything. For those that do want to stay up, Leeds is an absolute must-win, not just for the semi-final of the Cup, just like you said, Jeff. We need that momentum back now. If we're going to go into Wolves, we need to stuff Leeds and go into Wolves, get a win against Wolves, and then we've got half a chance. If we lose against Leeds, we go out the Cup, and then we don't get 3 points against Wolves, we're going down. We're going down.
What's your thoughts, Tony?
I think if you look at the cup thing is a bonus. It takes off the what has been a dire season for us. So and the main thing is we're doing well in it, and you can't knock that sort of thing. So for me, if we can progress into the next round of it, that's great. It just kind of takes the edge off the shit that's happened so far. But at the same point, you want to see a bounce back now. We've put a poor performance. Good thing is we've got the international break, so that gives us enough time to get Somerville fit and ready as well. So that's an added bonus, having him coming back into that game. So the Leeds, you've got to look at Leeds as well. Yeah, they've done very well this season, but we say about our form, Jeff. If you look at how Leeds are at the moment, they're not exactly been pulling points. They've been struggling to get it even draws. So when you look at something like that, this could also be to our advantage at this point to take, but will Nuno see that is another thing. So for me, I love Jay's phrase, because I think, we need to clip that and put it on T-shirts, the whole works that. But other than that, I think if you look at it, I'd like to see both. Get the something out of Leeds and also, progress through to the next round, because I think it just takes the edge off of what we've had to put up so far.
And I do think there's a differing opinions amongst West Ham fans around the FA Cup, and I think there's a definite section of fans who are like, just go all out for the FA Cup. Wouldn't it be great to win the FA Cup, get to a cup final, all of that? And I must admit, I'm a little bit. I've got a foot in that camp, because I love the FA Cup, and I've been saying I want what Palace had last year. They won themselves the FA Cup. They were absolutely buzzing. I'd be buzzing over that. And I'm not sure, if it comes down to would you rather win the FA Cup or stay up? It's a difficult choice. I want to win the FA Cup and stay up, right? But I do want us to do well in the FA Cup. But Pierre's saying we must get 9 points minimum from the next 4 games. And although I'd love to win the Cup, I think realistically it's extremely unlikely. So don't go overboard with the quarter-final game. So obviously he's erring more on we should concentrate more heavily on the league. But I think they kind of go a bit hand in hand. Winning football matches breeds confidence. Winning becomes a habit just as much as losing does. So you've got a football match in front of you, try and win it. Make West Ham saying, give the channel a like. Thanks, buddy. Doing my admin for me. Appreciated. Ryan saying that performance from Mavro against Villa was like a captain's performance. He's stepped up massively this season. Just a word on Mavro. You can't just heap enough praise on him the last few weeks, can you? He has been an absolute man mountain. And I think he saves 2-3 goals at least this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
His tackle, was given a penalty against him for. If he doesn't make that, that's a goal. He clears 2 off of the line. And then you look at what he did in between. I mean, at one point, he was on the floor, still won the ball, recovered it, and passed it on. I mean, what you'd do for everyone to have had that much fight and passion on this weekend, maybe we wouldn't have lost.
I mean, the main thing is,
channel a hype. I mean, I don't even know how to do that.
Oh no, it won't be you. It'd be people in the chat that would give the hype. I mean, if you look at it with Mavrik's performance, you can understand why he's been called up by his national team because his performances. So fair play. For that just shows you how and Jay said it, how the man has changed around. Because I think most of us was in the same boat, Jay. Here he is, Maverick liability, Maverick donkey, Maverick pony.
Maverick pony, that was it, Maverick pony.
And it's a case of but when we played the week before, kind of thing, as people in the chat, we started calling him Maverick Fabulous because
I've not heard that one.
He's just been he's been commanding, and like as Jeff said there, confidence. When you got someone like Disasi, he's quite
the sexy.
He's a mountain for one, but he's also calm in what he does, and that must just take the edge of Mavropanos. I think to yourself, fuck me, I ain't got to worry about kind of doing something stupid here and looking crap. I can actually look good for a change. Mavrodini, well done, Sharky. I love that as well.
Chris, our resident Millwall fans, in. Thanks for joining us again, buddy.
Yes,
He
Chris.
says Spurs are getting.
You get him over here, you get him over here as well,
yeah,
I
he's
mean,
been in the last couple of weeks. He says Spurs are getting 4 players
Top
back in
geezer.
a few weeks.
Top geezer.
That might pick them up. Talking about Spurs briefly, what do you think? Now, they have got some players coming back. Do you think it's going to make a big difference to them? Like Kudus is due back, perhaps after the international break and into April. But I heard rumours today of possibility of Chris Hughton going into Spurs. I mean, I don't know if that's just absolute bullshit story, but that would be an interesting reunion of Hughton and Kudus, wouldn't it, after the exploits at Ghana?
Yeah.
Just wonder how well they would actually get on. I don't think they had I don't think they enamoured themselves to each other. I got the impression at Ghana. They had a real struggle with Hughton in charge, didn't they?
They did. And I suppose if you look at it, knowing their Kudus is as a character, he's already probably got his bags packed already, kind of, seeing the shit show that's going on there at the moment. He'll be looking to get out as soon as possible. I think Bergval's another one that's coming back. Who else is there? He's
back. He's back. He's played some minutes for them.
Oh, he played. That's why he came on near the end, didn't he? And then who's the other two that's come back? I don't know if Kulusevski's anywhere near yet.
No, I think he's out for the season. I can't remember. Maybe Maddison coming back or something. I did see a list earlier. I can't remember it. I found it's Spurs in it. I'm not that interested in them. Pierre makes a good point here. He says, I think Kante and Onana would have been a good matchup. God, that would have been like Clash of Titans, wouldn't it? Two big bumps there.
I mean, fun enough, when he came on for the minutes he did have, he put himself about kind of thing. So it's one of those. Give the kid a chance.
He's the nearest thing we've got to that type of a player. That's his game. He's that box to box. He gets up and down. Like I said, it was so obvious that they was targeting, just running through where Souček just couldn't get to. It gave him that could have been. I'm not saying we would have won, but we wouldn't have been overrun the way we were. I've still got an angle. Anytime that happens now, I almost want to shit myself because I just fucking can't stand looking feeble and meek in the middle of the park. I hate that more than anything else. In the middle of the park on the pitch, you're strong. That's where you've got to put in, your engine. I really have no idea. Someone, I think it was Sharky, the comment didn't go up, but he said, you can't play Potts, Souček and Fernandez. The reason is in that threesome, Souček then basically becomes non-existent and two players end up being half the player on it because they're covering for someone else. you can say we had 3 players in the middle of the park on paper, but there was only 2 that could get near the ball. Souček couldn't get near the ball. I really, really don't understand it. But anyway, yeah, I still love Souček though. I do. I fucking love him, but just not starting. Not for fucking. How long did he stay? Did he stay on the whole match the other day? Or did he come off at the end? I can't even remember. Did he come off at the end? Before the end?
I think he
came on, didn't he?
Yeah, I think he came off near the end. I think was it in
pretty much right at the end again. And I don't get that. But anyway, yeah.
I think you want to, you want to have an engine kind of thing, like and we want to go from a Ford Granada and that, and like going what you're saying, it's suddenly becoming like a 3-cylinder Trabant because we just absolutely poor in the middle.
Yeah,
Harry's injecting a bit of optimism back into the chat. He says, Villa at home. McGinster and Yuri back. It was always going to be a big ask. Losing Toddy just before kickoff. The gods were against us. Still, 21 points. We'll be safe before Leeds. So, there we go. He's been drinking out of the same cup that Colin has as well, I think. Ryan says, I reckon we've got a 35% chance of staying up. Yeah, I'd say, yeah. I think we've still got a good chance to stay up. Look at Spurs. I know they've got players coming back, and if they change the manager, depending on who they bring in, what reaction does that get? But looking at them currently and where they're at right now, I struggle to see the games that they're going to win. Yeah, but I can see some games that we can win.
Yeah.
I was listening to Hammer's chat earlier. I think it was Gio's video. And he said one of the subscribers had put a comment in saying, the way you got to look at it, can we get 2 points more than Spurs between now and the end of the season? And when you put it like that, if you look at the 2 teams, take out the Villa performance in isolation, I think most of us would say, yeah, wouldn't we?
Mm-hmm. I think the main, we're like Aston Villa game is a blip. It's, it's done under the carpet, out the way with now. Now it's what we do afterwards, and our form has been on the up. Whereas you look at Spurs, it's constantly going down, 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 down. Now, obviously, Tudor had the bad news after the game.
Yeah,
his father passed away.
Yeah.
So you got to think, Spurs have obviously kind of said their condolences and so forth. Now, are they going to be that little bit kind of sympathetic and empathetic and say, we'll keep him on for another week because of what's happened?
Possibly.
But at the same time, it's come around the international break. So it works maybe
in their favour. It's a ruthless business, though, isn't it?
It is. And, when you look at something like that, because, you mentioned it. Dyche has been banged on about coming in to take over till the end. De Zerbi said he'll come in only if they stay up. You still got what's his name? Sherwood.
Sherwood, the failed manager, is going to come and save Spurs' season.
Why? Take that, Harry. Do you want to come in and do a job? Don't damage what you've done. What you built up. In my eyes, and if Harry does that, we know he can do things, but I don't think he's Miracle Sam. That's for sure.
And I don't see Dyche coming in for 7 games. I think Dyche has got them over a barrel. If they think they're going to get Dyche, say, just come in, and if you keep us up, or we're going to get someone in the summer, he'll say, fuck off, give me a 2-3 year contract, I'll come and do it. So I think he's got them over a barrel. Do they want him for 2 or 3 years? Because he's got this power there, I think, Dyche. That's why they're going to bring in a Ryan Mason, a Sherwood, a Redknapp, because the list of people that are actually going to take the job is pretty short, isn't it?
Well, you the 3 names you mentioned there, the 2 that will snap your hand off, and that would be Ryan Mason and Tim Sherwood.
Yeah.
They're so desperate to get back into things. It'll be a no-brainer. But as you said, they're both fouled. So, you got Sherwood saying he knows what to do, kind of thing, to keep him out of it. But when you've got
Morale, running his mouth off, running them down every chance he gets. That's half the problem with Tudor in it. So I don't know how they're going to react to him. bringing it back to West Ham, Make West Ham Great says, and I kind of agree with this comment actually. I was thinking about it today. He says, I don't want to see Kilman, but if the manager has no intention of using him, why is he on the bench? Leave him at home and use Myers. And I kind of agree with that because set ourselves up for a free at the back. Tadibo gets injured in the warm-up. You've got a senior centre-back on the bench in Kilman who's on the bench every week. Now, if you're really that reluctant to use him, what is he doing on the bench? I think it's a really fair point. That.
Boy, sorry, I've got to shoot, Jeff. Thanks so much for inviting me on. Tone, lovely seeing you. But Jeff,
and you, mate.
One shameless little plug before I go. Ryan mentioned it earlier. People, if you don't know, Clyde Best is Premier. Clyde Best, what a legend. I've been binging his stuff over the last couple of days because I'll be meeting the great man. I'm flying over for the 26th to go down. I'll actually be working with the boys that are running the Premier. It's in Sadler's Wells East in Stratford. The documentary is the stuff I'm hearing from the people that produced it as well. It's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So he's one of our own. If you can get down there, there's tickets for the 26th, the 27th and the 28th of March. Love to see you down there. It'll be a proper West Ham get-together as well. And it's in support of, like I said, someone who was talking about the West Ham way. He epitomised it. So, yeah, that's shameless plug. Jeff, thanks so much, Tony. Great seeing you, bro.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening.
Take it easy. Oh, excuse me.
Dogs is saying, go on, Harry, that spleen is kicking in nicely. I didn't read this. That's the ocelot spleen. So they've come out well, have they, Harry? Dogs is saying, this is a bit like Three Angry Men tonight. I will listen to Pop will eat itself for a few minutes now. We're not that angry, are we?
I don't know. Jay had a bit of a stern face on kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know. Have we all got stern faces on at the moment? I don't know.
Maybe we have. Ryan says he's replying to Make West Ham Great. He says he agrees. Makes no sense why he was on the bench if he doesn't trust him. And I do agree with that. I thought about it when he refused to use him. I think I don't understand the point of having him on the bench if you've got no confidence in him at all.
Are we too light on the bench though? Is that the reason why? Just make the numbers up? I don't know.
I think we are light on the bench, but I mean, I don't know. He's shown that he'll use Myers.
Yeah.
Not in a centre-back role, but he's given him minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So if Myers don't make the bench and Kilman does, and he's more likely to use the youngster than Kilman, why give the place to Kilman? Colin says, I still feel Spurs could be in a worse place, and then I guess it's down us after the next two league games. I tend to agree, but Wolves is massive.
Yeah.
Try and catch up a little bit. Oh, but this is when we were talking about for the third centre back. And I'm not keen on. I wasn't keen on saying let's put a KWP and AWBs, Ollie Scarles, even a Magassa, slide him in. I do think you are shoehorning someone into a back three situation. I just think we should be able to operate in a back four. We've been doing it for weeks, so I don't think, as I said before, it should be as disruptive as it was. We looked all over the place. That I find that quite surprising. Make West Ham Great don't like the back five. Me either. And I agree totally with this. We need to get out the bottom three and put that pressure on anyone else, Leslie says. Absolutely. I think if we can... Spurs have got to go to Sunderland. I could see them losing there. And if we can get past Wolves, we'll put them into the bottom three. And I think the pressure will really start cranking up on them. And I think they've shown they're struggling to handle the pressure.
Yeah, they're not used to it, are they? That's the thing. They're not used to it.
No. Paul, thanks for joining us, mate.
Evening, Paul.
Pierre saying only 2 men in a 3-man midfield. Obviously,
Mm,
I guess he's going on about the suture. I do think the midfield was very ineffective against Villa, all of them.
yeah,
Even Fernandez, who's been terrific for us recently. But
yeah.
there were so many. Even Disassi, I thought, looked like he had a bit of an off game in comparison to the levels that he's been producing for us. I think we looked like we were really thrown by Tadebo's injury, and like I say,
I don't get it though, Jeff. Because at the
don't
end of
think
the
it should
day,
have affected us as much.
no,
I really
I
don't.
mean these are pro players, now. You know, you should
Yeah,
expect these things all the time, kind of thing. I mean, like not being funny. I know, like Sunday, when I used to be doing my Sunday teams, you have a team written out, and it's like, oh, they've been on the fucking piss. So I've got two players out there. Who else is available? And then you want the team sheet out again? No, that one ain't fucking turned up. Throw it away again, right? Third, fourth team kind of thing. But these boys, you know, I know you're saying they've trained during the week to play that kind of formation, but whatever's put out there, if you make changes, etc., they should just adjust that because that's their level. They should be doing that. It's bread and butter for them. I think the only thing you say, it was a consistently poor performance across the board,
yeah, lots of them.
and that kind of that I wouldn't say takes the edge off of it, but that's the only thing you can say that was consistent.
What do you make of Chris's question here? He says, "Does no one think Wilson is the better striker?"
No, I think Wilson is in certain respects is the better striker because we know he's going to score. Tatty, I think,
He's the best finisher, isn't he?
yeah. We know obviously Tatty's not prolific. We know Nuno hasn't scored as yet. Nuno, I mean Pablo hasn't scored as yet. It's Pablo's game is slightly different to Tatty's. The good thing is both of them will close down on players, but looking at just referring back to the Villa game, yes, Tatty should have played at left and Pablo up top because at least that way then we could brought in the midfield. Wilson, we know full well, yes, if the ball's put in the right position on that, he will finish it.
Well, I do think, in response to Chris's question, as I said, I think he's the better finisher. But for me, he's an impact sub, and that's where I am with Traore. If I'm perfectly honest with you, I know some people said, "Oh, start Traore on the left wing. He's a natural winger, and he did all right at Brentford. He did all right when he came on in the second half. All that, but he's not a starter for me. And I think Wilson falls into that category for me as well. I think we should be looking to introduce Wilson and Traore off the bench to bring us impact in games. That's the role that I see for them.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think the only thing which Nuno's got to learn to do is not give them like 3-6 minutes. Give them a decent amount of time to get into the game.
20 minutes, half hour.
Yeah, at least.
Pierre saying, if we stay up, I'm very concerned that next year it will get worse under Nuno. I mean, it's hard to say on the back of that display, and after me criticising Nuno for the way he's approached the game, which I definitely am doing for this week. But actually, I'm starting to warm a little bit towards Nuno, which might not be good timing for me to say it. But I do think in recent weeks we've seen some passages of good play from our team. We've seen the team spirit. If we talk about players that have been improved, well, Disassi, we can't say he's improved him. He's just come in, hit the ground running. But from where Tadebo and Mavropanos was, they're at a different level, I think, to where they've been at any time under any other manager. I quite like that. I don't think quite as much is coming out of the club recently. I think some of the leaks have been plugged, and personally, I quite like that. And I watch some of the channels that have supposedly got actual in the nose and people who find stuff out, and yet they haven't quite had the finger on the pulse quite as much as they have done previously with everything that leaks out the club. And I quite like that. So if that, long may that continue as far as I'm concerned. I know it don't help for the content makers, but I think it's much more like a football club should be run instead of everyone knowing everyone's business every 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah, which is a bit of a problem for me. On that thing there, Jeff. I see a different side to that because you got to think we had to wait until the January window, and we got the couple of players, and it's made a difference. The summertime, if we stay up, the main thing is then he can then still bring in players he wants to bring in. And
I mean, the
we've seen,
worry is
they've made an impact.
what does the summer bring, doesn't it, with the state of the finances that have been reported at the club? I guess that's part of the reason why lots of people will be not very optimistic, whether we stay up or go down, that we're not going to have the war chest that we need to perhaps rebuild the side in the way that we need to.
Unfortunately, we know full well that this club, or say the current ownership, like to do scaremongering. It's seeing how much truth there is into that, because suddenly out of no, look at this. You think about the January window, no money, then suddenly they can pull 40 million out their backside, and buy players. So take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, I'd say.
Shark is saying Wilson isn't fancied by Nuno. It seems. I think that's fair comment. I don't think he's anywhere near the trusted group. He uses him because he has to, I think, rather than he wants to.
It's probably that pay bonus thing, isn't it? If he scores a goal, they've got to pay him extra.
What difference does that make to Nuno?
Oh, not Nuno, no. But if you look at it, it's a case of depends, isn't it? If you've got a chairman that's breathing down your neck and saying if he's going to cost us money, which is then going to affect your war chest, who knows? He's a different character with us compared to Forrest.
Yeah. Paul saying they had a plan before Debo got injured in the warm-up. Made changes, wasn't right, sadly. I agree.
Absolutely, Paul.
I say I'm just a bit taken aback at how badly it affected us and our whole game plan. Mate West Ham Great says Wan-Bissaka was dreadful. I do think he was dreadful. Like I say, I think he's had coming for some criticism at times. I do think he switches off, and positionally is not that great at certain times in games. But he looked like a lost soul. I can't believe he's actually that bad. I think he put in a really bad display. But I do think, like I say, with Bowen end up right back not most of the game, but most of the first half. Wan-Bissaka tucked in, looking lost, and his application, it was all wrong. There was something wrong.
I think I've already said this before. For me, Wan-Bissaka's been like this for a while. Surprising that you got Hammer of the Year, and then you look at a completely different player this season compared to last. So Saints, I don't know what's gone on. There's something happening in there. Don't know. Someone's had a little kind of shell word in his ear roll. Promises he was going to go somewhere else, maybe, I don't know, but it's not the same player. And they just said, how many times has he been caught out from corners where he's got the man behind him and beats him?
I think he's a bit susceptible to that, though. I think it's a flaw in his game, and I think it existed long before he came to West Ham, actually. I think it's part of the reason he's at West Ham and not actually a very top club, because I think he's got all the attributes apart from where he gets let down, and where he gets let down is positionally he can fall asleep, and his final ball when he gets forward is not good enough a lot of the time. And if those two things were better, it'd be flying high at a club somewhere. Leslie says Wilson is better than Tatty and Pablo, but Nuno has no faith in him. Like I say, my view, I don't know if you might have different view, Tony, but I look at Wilson as an impact sub, and I don't really want to see him start games, much the same as I don't want to see Trey always start games.
I think it depends on the game, when you look
at
it.
That's true.
If it's one of those where you think, Wilson will kind of excel in this game, this is the kind of game you'd love to be in. I mean, look, typical one was a Bournemouth goal. Yeah, but Bournemouth game, 2 goals. Bloke was on fire at that point. Nuno takes him off. We draw 2-2. Yeah. So it's reading.
That was dreadful, wasn't it, from Nuno that day?
Yeah, that still reiterates in my ear. I'll always bring it up.
Had the game in the palm of her hand and threw it away.
Yeah, third goal would have been done with.
Mate West Ham Great says, did you see the stat? Pablo hasn't had a single shot on target in the league. I did see it, and it's poor, really. And he's had a couple of opportunities where he should have hit the target, and he's had a couple of opportunities where he most likely should have scored, never mind hit the target. So, yeah, it's a bit of a worry. He's finishing, and he says that Traore deserves a start. Fair enough. I don't agree with that. Well, it's not that I don't think he deserves it. I'm just not a fan of him starting the game. Leslie says it's no surprise about Pablo. He's a workhorse, but no quality. Well, we certainly haven't seen it. And mate West Ham Great says Sullivan didn't rate Emery. No, well, he's not renowned for picking the best managers, making the best decisions over managers, is he?
No, that's for sure.
Chris says Nuno seems like a useless ponce, judging by what most West Ham fans say about him. Okay, fair enough. And like I say, I'm actually warming to him. I think we're showing a little bit of progression under him at times. Whether it's going to be too little, too late, remains to be seen. But yeah, I'm not quite in the. Everyone wants the next manager out. They're all shit, right? Moyes is shit. Lopetegui's shit. Potter's shit. Nuno's shit. I'm not sure they are all shit. I mean, Potter really was shit. But I don't know. Maybe something else in our setup's shit. Luke says, my Northampton Town. I don't know what that. I can't make sense of that. Broken, leaving relegation zone.
So basically, they've been in the relegation zone for a while now. They broke out of the actual relegation
zone. Yeah, broke out of the relegation zone. League One 2026. My bad day. My manager sacked Kevin Nolan. There's a few people that want him back on the bench at West Ham, isn't there?
Yeah.
But yeah, it says if Nuno selects Hermansen and Souček, our chances of winning any game is a whole lot less. Okay, I guess it's a matter of opinion. We've sort of discussed some of Souček's failings in the middle of the park, but I don't think we should overlook what he does bring to the team and the threats that he carries. Does a good job in both boxes for me. Covers a lot of ground, does a lot of the ugly stuff that perhaps doesn't get a lot of credit. Hermansen, like I said previously, the one thing I like about Hermansen is he catches the ball more than Areola. He distributes it quickly out of his hands. He looks confident with the ball at his feet, and I think the back four have more confidence when he's got the ball at his feet. Don't look quite so panicky. That said, he's made a few errors, and I do think definitely the second goal he should do better with. I know you've can highlight errors elsewhere, and I don't disagree with you, Tony, but I still think he's got to do better with that shot.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we can't afford to be dropping balls down at opposing strikers' feet and gifting them goals like that. So maybe there's a case for Areola, and I say he certainly hasn't let us down when he's played in the cup recently. Leslie doesn't agree with my support of Nuno, obviously. He says he's boring and cowardly, and the sooner he fucks off, the better, even if we stay up. So don't think Leslie's a fan. Luke's put his comment in again. Sharky says you can't play. This is what Jay was talking about. You can't play Potts, Souček, and Fernandes in the same midfield together. There's simply no pace. And Potts, what did you think of Potts' display? He was hooked at half time, obviously. Dropped into the starting lineup just before kickoff. Do you think he was hard done by to be swapped? Do you think it was just a tactical thing? or do you think that he played particularly badly? How did you see Potts' performance,
I don't
Tony?
think he played badly. I mean, like, I think what the kid's lacking more at the moment, I think, is probably a little bit of confidence. He had a bit of, got himself sent off at one, in one of the games, and he's taken a while to get back into it. And if you look at it, it's only because Debo got injured that he started, but in an unusual position probably for him because he's been used to now playing in the midfield area. And did he feel maybe there's a lot of pressure on him at that point? Because everyone thinking, why is he playing there? Because there's a few people said the same thing. Why is he put him there? You expect him to be more, where he's learned his trade now. So I don't think he had a bad game. I think maybe it was more tactical, probably rightly or wrongly, because, and this is we've got to be careful about with our youngsters, and that is how we manage them. And this could actually, do a bit of damage for Potsy. Hopefully, the coaches will make him understand why he was hooked off. But going by the comment there, I don't think he did anything bad, Jeff. He seemed to keep it simple. That's the way I saw it. I don't know you saw it.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with you, Tony. I don't think Potts was particularly awful. I don't think anyone in the midfield covered themselves in glory, if I'm honest. And I think he probably did do a tactical change because he kind of reverted more to the 4-4-2 that we've been seeing in the second half. So I think it was more of a tactical switch than, Freddie, you've had an awful game, you're having an absolute stinker, and I'm pulling you out the firing line. So with that in mind, I'd like to think it ain't damaged him too much. He got his start.
Yeah.
So there's a boost for him rather than sitting on the bench getting no minutes. He's got 45 minutes under his belt, and I do think he got swapped in a tactical sense rather than, like I say, because he particularly had an awful performance. So hopefully he'll be all right about it. He'll bounce back. Pear's asking, how many goals have we scored with Hermansen's better distribution? It seems like not many to me. I mean, fair enough, but I just like the way he releases the fullback. I think the ball comes out of his hands a lot quicker than it does with Areola, and I think it gives us opportunity to move up the pitch a bit quicker. Leslie saying Hermansen and Areola neither next season. Could be true. I think Areola most likely leaves. They want to clear out some of these high wages. He's definitely one of those on high wages. Whether Hermansen leaves as well or not, I don't know. It's possible though. Leslie says goalie, centre back, experienced midfielder, and proper striker needed next season. Yeah. More than one striker, I think.
Yeah.
Pierre would love to have a semi. Ryan says hopefully we can do both, stay up and win the FA Cup. That would be very nice. Thank you very much. James Lamprey's in. Says evening, gents in the chat. Good evening to you. Thanks for joining us, buddy. And the guys are just saying it like that. Pierre, long time since I have needed a semi. Leslie says. And Nuno's coming for a bit of stick. He might need a bit of Viagra to get to the final. And Harry's asking, what is a semi? I'll skip through the hellos and all of that. Colin says, well, gents, we beat Leeds in the Cup for a win. We'll bring confidence going into the Wolves game. Yeah, I agree with that. We were chatting about that earlier, and I do think winning breeds confidence.
Yes. Mavrodini, look at that.
Mavrodini, Sharky, yeah. And Ryan's obviously meeting up with Jay on Thursday. And his nan's looking forward to it as well.
Nice.
Harry says, them 4 players that are coming back for the Spuds are wank. Fair enough. Maverick Dawson, Harry offers up.
Nice.
Colin says the thing he's worried about the players going to international duty is if any pick up injuries. I mean, it's always a worry when you've got players away on international duty that they all come back fit and well. There we are. Harry's saying it was 82 minutes. Kante came
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, I knew it was, say that was enough.
Good one from Chris. Mavrajestic. And Harry's saying Tudor's gone. As far as I know, I've been kind of looking for an official announcement, which I haven't seen yet, but certainly strong rumours that he's left under mutual consent. But they might just be, as you said earlier, Tony, just being a bit respectful and leaving it for a few days before they announce it in light of him sadly losing his father.
Yeah, I mean, Dermot was trying to, he was waiting, as we were doing the show, he was at the phone waiting for his people in, the ITKs to come out with any information, but nothing came forward.
Yeah. Ryan saying, if Spurs go into that relegation zone, I cannot see them getting out of it. Win against Wolves, and as long as Spurs lose or draw, it's in our hands. Absolutely. I totally agree with that sentiment. I think Spurs will find it really tough if they drop into the bottom 3.
Okay.
We absolutely have to beat Wolves and start turning the screw. We can't afford these slip-ups. A point here, point there. A point against Wolves is no good for us, I don't think. I think we have to win that game. We're running out of winnable games if we can't beat Wolves.
I'm just trying to see if there's anything on here, Jeff, as you're talking about the comments.
And Ryan's just saying it looks likely that he's going, but don't think it's been officially announced yet. And I can't find anything official. And Ryan says he doesn't think it matters who they bring in, to be honest. I mean, Harry might give them a bounce just because he'll tell everyone that they're wonderful, won't he? And they might just... just massage their egos enough to get them performing. And he probably puts players in their right positions, which Tudor seems to have had a struggle to do. He's playing people all over the place. So combination of massaging their huge egos and playing them in the right positions, he might get a tune out of them. Harry says, Harry and Sherwood, more like Harry and Meghan, would be a great train wreck to watch. And potentially it would. I've been kind of saying to a few Spurs fans, I mean, seriously, Harry hasn't managed for what?
15 years.
Sherwood was a failed manager 10 whatever years ago. I've heard him even say about Glenn Hoddle. I mean, he's been at the game 20 fucking years, isn't he? And now I heard some German guy, Hutter or something. I've never even heard of him. I have no idea who he is. And Chris Hughton today. And nothing really inspires you, does it?
No.
Les is saying Hughton would take it on. I think he probably would take it on. He's probably one of those that would take it on in a temporary role. One just catching up where everyone's saying good night to Jay. Oh, look, you're getting it tonight. He says, you look chilled out. I was getting get him a blanket, so I was so laid back on Sunday. Pierre says, take Kilman off the bench, make room for a third goalkeeper. Daz is in. Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Evening, Daz. It'll show you the Man City Arsenal game. When Pep Guardiola kicked the advertising hoarding.
All right, I slept through it, didn't I, Tony? I genuinely did, yeah.
Yeah. when they get one of the goals, he kicks the advertising order. And what you didn't realise as well, just came a light that Colo Torre's celebrating with Pep like this. Phil Foden's come from behind him, pushes him, and Colo Torre goes fucking arse over the advertising order.
What's your thoughts on Colin's view here? He says, against Wolves, I would have a midfield of Fernandes, Kante and Magassa. Would you like that midfield, Tony?
Yeah, because I think, I wasn't too impressed with Kante when he came on in the cup game, but since then, when he has come on, he seems to have learned from that, and he's matured, and he's growing more and more into it.
The Burton game, are you talking about?
Yeah, the Burton game. Yeah,
he was not clever in that game.
Nah, but he's got better as he's gone on. So something like that wouldn't be a bad thing for him, because when you look at, I mean, the kid's a beast, isn't he? There's no two ways about it.
What's your thoughts on Magassa?
Very hit and miss.
Yeah, I agree.
Very hit and miss at the moment.
It would worry me, I think, to have Kante, Magassa and Fernandes in the middle of the park. I don't mind Kante or Magassa, I think, but I'm not sure I'd want both of them. But it's all about opinions, right? Everyone's view sees the game differently. Frog's in, says good evening. Good evening, Frog. Thanks for dropping in, buddy. Let me squeeze by all the hellos. There's obviously some relevance to this. Tug says, well, Frog, I had Cumberland sausages earlier. I smashed the fuck out of them.
What it was, when we did the watch along, is all about. Frog said, I'm having smashed sausages. So Brendan's asking, what the fuck are they kind of thing? So it's like a smashed burger. So I had to explain. So as Brendan was saying, so basically it's a sausage, or basically it's a burger. It's a smash. Basically it's a sausage, it's a burger, So yeah.
Harry says he's back. He took half hour. He wasn't enjoying the show earlier. Sorry you weren't enjoying that, mate.
Yeah, it was the Three Misers earlier.
The Three Misers, yeah.
Oh yeah, Paul. Yeah,
Leslie's asking Paul when is his charity run, and we'll donate 500. Need details to pay. That's very generous of you, Leslie, and good luck with your charity run, Paul. Whenever that is.
Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Oh, excellent! Very good.
Evening,
right, Ray's in. Nice to see you, mate.
I'll just see how he's coming.
I'll catch up with it. Leslie says he'd start Wilson against Wolves.
Not a bad shout, yeah.
And Chris is saying later. So cheers, Chris. Thanks for joining us, mate. We'll try and catch up with. Okay, Leslie's got a question here. What's this say? Question: we made a few changes to the lineup and we got a few decent results. Do we need to change again? Well, personally, I don't want to see the 3/5 at the back. That's my personal preference. So I'd like to see a flat back. In fact, I'd like to see the 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, make it a 4-2-3-1, however you configure it. But I prefer those sort of formations much more to the 5 at the back. So I definitely think we should change it up to that. I think it gives us more attacking options. We seem to trouble teams a lot more when we set up the team like that. So that's my thoughts. But what are your thoughts, Tony? You happy with a 3 at the back?
We haven't got the personnel for it, to be honest, when you think about it. Because as much as you've got Mavropanos, Disasi, and whoever it could be, either Debo, it could be Wabasaka, Cole Peters, we haven't got the quality in front of that either. So going with 4-4-2 or even 4-4, and 2-1-1, like you said, that seems to suit us better. We seem to have adapted to that more than we have with other formations we've played recently, and let alone the Villa game. At least if you do 4-4-1-1, you've got the fact that if it's Wilson up top, Pablo can, if he's playing behind him, for instance, he can then hold the play up to bring the players forward, because we played a bit more compact by that. If it's 4-4-2, even great. But then it's a case of, okay, do you start off with Wilson and Tatty, and you bring on Pablo near the end, or vice versa? It's one of those. I think, we know full well Sunday. Hopefully, Nuno thinks himself. He realised that first half it was shite because he had to change it in the second half.
Yeah.
If the old saying, Jeff, if it's not broke, why do you need to fix it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
That's what's got us where we are at the moment. Got ourselves out. But when we was 13 points adrift at one point to get to where we are now with that formation. So I don't know. Keep it as it is. I mean, the only thing I'll say is you'd only make certain change, and it only needs to be one, possibly two changes, if that, depending on the opposition. Like I said, the Liverpool game should have been Areola rather than Hermansen. Even when you look at Wilson, could have done something in that Liverpool game as well. Started him off there because he's an experienced pro against an experienced team.
Frog saying we have to smash Wolves. No ifs, no buts. And the chat tend to agree.
Yeah.
Dogs says, most definitely Frog. Also, this could be a title for an Oasis album. And Harry saying, after we tear Leeds a new one. Iron Disciple saying, need the Paco balance. I'd prefer Paco take the wheel at this point. Nuno worries me with reverting to type off the premise of a Man City draw. That's my worry. I wasn't too worried about it. I thought he set up against Man City to get a point, got his point. I thought it was a really good point, and I thought he did it for that fixture, for that purpose. I was a bit worried when I see that he wanted to line up like that again at Villa, and I didn't think he would. I thought he'd go back to the 4. So I wasn't worried about it, and I know there were other people on social media and across some of the YouTube channels, speculating that was going to be his blueprint going forwards now because it worked so well against City. And I must admit, I didn't really buy into it. I thought, no, he's just done it for the City game. But it is a worry that he might be thinking like saying, I don't think we get as much out of it as we do setting up with a 4-4-1-1, for example.
Yeah, agree.
Daz is saying must-win game. And Daz is saying Harry is still a good manager. Maybe we'll find out how good he is if he goes into Spurs. And Frog saying, at least he didn't throw Kilman on for Toddy, which is something, obviously, in respect to the formation. And I kind of agree, but I think we spoke about it a little bit earlier in the chat as well. I think it tells a story that you've set up for 3 centre-backs all week, and then one of them gets injured in the warm-up, and you're only senior centre-back on the bench. You don't go, right, okay, you're in, Max. You go, right, you're still sitting out.
This is the one.
Okay. He says, Adolf Hitler, the German manager, linked to the Jewish team, the Spuds. Isn't that one of the 4 harbingers of the apocalypse? Well, by all accounts, we've been a bit of a miserable show tonight, so it's good to inject a bit of humour into it. Colin says, great show tonight. Always a pleasure joining you, Jeff and Tony.
Cheers, Colin.
Jay's opinions. Thanks, Colin. Appreciate you and all of you guys coming in and getting involved in the chat. It's much appreciated. Oh, it's probably all 4 at this stuff. I think I scrolled past it. And Shuck is saying Adolf Hooter. Is that really the bloke's name? I think it's Alex Hutter or something like that. Might be Adolf. Not sure the surname is correct. That's how it sounded. Yeah, I think it's Hutter. Hutter. You just Nutter would be better, wouldn't it? To go in there amongst that.
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
Frog's come back and says, sure, he has that Glaswegian assistant, Ronnie Gorbals. Did you see the local French mayoral election? Hitler v Zelensky. True story. I mean, I haven't seen it. And if it's true, yeah, it's one of those you couldn't make it up things, isn't it?
Not Roddy Pickering. That's
not Roddy Pickering, yeah.
Roddy who?
He's Addy Hutter, that's it. And he is Austrian, so even more worrying. They'll all be going, we're not getting in the fucking showers with this bloke in charge. I don't know if I'll get away with that. That was bad, wasn't it? It just came out. Doesn't like painting. Fresh is in.
He's fresh.
Pops in with a Brahma. Who do you are thinking? You think you're kidding, Mr. Hutter? Oh dear.
Hutter butter.
Hutter butter, yeah. Oh, I've got to carry on. Who do you think you're kidding, Mr. Hutter? If you think I'm Tottenham.
Oh man.
Precious, bonsoir, tout le monde. Oh dear, well that's lightened everything up after being miserable so-and-sos earlier on in the show. Andy Sable says, Audi Hooter, I heard. He's like the four rings on a car. Outie Oodie. See what I did there? Oh, very good. I've caught up down to the bottom of the chat. And I don't know where to go from there, I must admit. I'm probably going to have a break for a couple of weeks. International break. I'll probably do a walk and talk to be before the Leeds game. And hopefully the weather holds up. I'll get away on the narrowboat for a week or two. That was an idea that was floated by the missus earlier today. So I'm up for that. So I might be on a little holiday on the boat and a couple of weeks away from YouTube. So keep an eye out on the notification bell for when we come back. And Tony, what have you got planned over the next couple of weeks? Have you got shows on or are you having a break yourself, mate?
I might have one, maybe try and get some shows out just beforehand. But other than that, mate, yeah, I'll be having a break as well, I think. I mean, good luck to you with the weather and that, because at the moment it is blowing up nobody's business, and it looks like it's actually starting to rain now as well.
It's not too clever. She's on about perhaps going middle of next week. We'll see how it is. So, So just before we shoot off, thanks for joining me, Tony. Always a pleasure to have you on the show, and appreciate your support. And to everyone in the chat, thanks for joining us, as always. Thanks for lightening the mood. There's always some absolutely brilliant comments in there. Sometimes it's around West Ham, and sometimes there's just bants that really, really lighten the mood. So thanks for that. And I'll catch you all in a couple of weeks. And until then, good night all. Take care.
Just got the new outro. Who do you think?
I wish I had. I'll say good night to all of you. Come on, you irons.